Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junikala, and today we're having a look at Silence plus Other sounds, Silence and Other sounds. Still don't know which one it is, but one of those Nordic folk strings. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm pretty into this type of stuff. First of all, just, Nordic music, period. Super solid. Big fan of, artists like Vardruna. So anything in that category makes Marcus pretty interested. And also I do have some plans to do or utilize these type of sounds on a project, hopefully in the not so distant future. So very interested in seeing how this turns out. Been liking every single release so far that we've checked from this developer. So interested in seeing how things have progressed or how things are going. Now, I'm looking at the web page here to learn what this is. So first of all, this requires the full version of Kontakt, and this is 6.6.1 or above. Kontakt player not supported. So let's just get that out of the way. If you wanna start using this. So far, I'm also seeing the price here. It says $59, and this is 40% off intro sale, and this is not included VAT. So yeah, full price seems to be $99, and then you have to. Now you get an intro price $59, and then VAT comes on top of that, from what I can gather here. Cool. We got some demos here. Not going to listen to those because I'm kind of trying to do my own demo here. Again, I've remained semi-blind to this. I've heard some clips here and there, mainly because I did promise the dev that I'd have a look at the manual, because there are some interesting things here. So I did look at that. By the way, the manual is very comprehensively written. A lot of interesting stuff here, not just the technical, but there's an introduction. Obviously, this, by the way, this is a collaboration with, and sorry if I butcher your name, Alessandra Cognetta. I don't know if that's right. I'm sorry. You let me know. AKA Psamates. That's, I'm gonna go with that. So yeah, singer and Tagelharpa expert. So there you go. Apparently they've collaborated on previous releases as well. So yeah, they go in a lot of detail here. First of all, they explain what Tagelharpa is, and how it works, which is really cool, because a lot of people probably don't know this, and kind of getting a good explanation from a musician or musicians who understand what it is super useful. So they explain some of those basics. Then they also go into their sampling strategy. For those of you who are more interested in sampling or want to understand the approach from a compositional perspective, because it helps you utilize these samples better. Very, very cool. And apparently I don't see them use the performance-based sampling word, or what's the word? Let's go with that word. But this is apparently based on sort of rhythmic material sampling, rhythmic backgrounds or phrases. So that's probably a very poor explanation, but you know, they wanted to make it as realistic and good sounding as possible, obviously, and this is the approach that they took. But yeah, recording entire rhythmic movements rather than long individual notes. Makes sense. There are a lot of libraries out there, especially in these sort of more esoteric or, you know, not so common instruments, specialized. That sort of, you know, sample individual notes indeed quite well, but then it doesn't really come together in the context of being a sensible, playable thing in terms of how the instrument actually sounds like. So I definitely see the sense, at least in the concept here. They've sampled stuff in 80 to 110 BPM range, and then 110 to 130, just because they'll sound better. Obviously, you can still, you know, work in different tempos because it will quantize that, but very useful to have so that you have the flexibility and you're not, you know, trying to stretch a very slow sample into something very fast, unless that's specifically the sound you want to go for. They have a rhythmic legato thing here, which the dev emphasized to me that, hey, your DAW needs to be playing for this to work. So that's an interesting implementation for sure, and very good to know. And they say won't work if you don't press play in your DAW. So there you go. Whether this is a separate thingy-majingy of its own, I think it's simply implemented in all of these. I can't see like a separate patch for that or anything like that. Let's have a look. Nope. No. So seems like it's just in all of these here. We'll have a bit of a test and rummage around. But yeah, I mean, good manual. Go read it. Comprehensive to whatever extent you want to dive into there. Cool. But beyond that, still trying to see how much of this we can figure out from the interface. Is a pretty interesting topic to me, and hopefully useful for someone else as well. But then again, you know, I am someone with rather limited processing power, so if I miss something, I do apologize. You have 8 Kontakt instruments. So as you can see from this side pane here, side pane sounds like something you have here, which I do, unfortunately. Yeah, we got bass, 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 and bass. So so first of all, again, in 2 different tempo ranges, and then those split into straights and triplets. Super useful, very nice to have, very sensibly put. And then you have this straight, sorry, I think this is just for standard, you know, normal, because they sampled the bass separately from the normal stuff, which again seems to make sense, at least in theory. And these again, 2 different tempo ranges, and in 2 different, you know, straight, beat, and then triplets. Cool. Rather simple, at least in concept there. Is there anything else we want to touch on here? Not really. I guess some of the tech stuff. Oh yeah, they're using Pulse downloader now, which is great. I love that. It's the best one I've come across. Very fast, very nice to use. So there's that. Again, full Kontakt version 6.6.1 or above needed. Not supported by Kontakt Player. And this is 2.61 gigs, so not a big footprint, rather small, which is nice. You don't want to have like a library for something hyper specific and have it be bloated and 200 gigs with no seeming reason for that. So nice to see that as well. And that's it. Let's close the website here and take ourselves into the library itself. So a few things. What you'll hear today, it's only Tagelharpa by SOS in action. I don't add any effects, no reverb, EQ, nothing. It's just the way this comes out of the box. I only have a limiter on my master bus to make the level decent for this video. That being said, we'll probably have to adjust that as we move along. If you hear clipping, that's probably the limiter, and if it isn't, I'll let you know. Probably either way. Silence and Other Sounds did send me this copy. So first of all, thank you for doing that. But as always, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. Cool. I think that covers our bases here. And I hope I'm educated enough in how this is all laid out, but we'll see. Looking at the interface here, pretty very simple, minimal setup here. Everything seems clean and clear enough. You know, nothing dazzling. Very simple. You see the Tagelharpa here. You got mix control for bass string and the solo string. Balance, close, room. That's nice to have. Usually prefer to go pretty close to these and do my own reverbs, unless it's exceptionally good. Then we got a box for movement here in the red zone, which I presume correlates to these keys. So indeed, yes, when I press these red keys here, we are moving between these different movements. So I suppose these are different movement patterns, which will obviously help us make more realistic and complex stuff. You got tone for clean and gnarly. So this piques my interest because, you know, I like to get gnarly. You know, get a bit of grit in that sound. So interesting in seeing how those differ. You got a box for scale. So here we got chromatic, we got major, we got minor. Oh, nice. So okay, yeah, this is nice that it actually just you know, blocks out the keys that you can't play, because sometimes they sort of, you know, map the notes just next to each other. So let's say it's following a certain scale, but they're not actually allocated to the individual keys. So yeah, this is nice to see. Chromatic. Strings 3. Oh, okay. So okay, we gotta play around with that, but you can choose between 3 or 2 plus 1. Mono, poly. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, so this is the solo string control. Interesting. Okay, that actually makes it quite different. Input, note, quantize. This is useful. Unquantize, they got 1 bar, half, fourth, eighth. So pretty interesting. Got a box for reverb. Fair enough. Root key. You got a control here with a slider, so you can decide for yourself. Movement sequencer. Okay, this is probably going to be super useful, but we'll have to see. So this is definitely has a lot of, like, in terms of the technical architecture here, quite a lot of stuff going on, and I'm estimating that it will result in a more realistic sounding instrument, but it will make also the usability of it, you know, specific. Let's put it that way. You have to operate under these very specific rules, which probably won't be too complex, but we'll see. So let me I just want to jump in and try and get my bearings through playing this. I'm particularly interested in this string configuration thing, and also the poly mono options there. Gonna leave it at mono, start with 3. And let's see what happens here. And by the way, we are using the standard instead of the bass thingy majingy. So let's see. Okay, so you do need to re-trigger the note when you change movements. It doesn't change it for the next cycle. Let me double check that. Yeah, so you do need to re-trigger the note. But yeah, the movements are indeed changing here. Let's go through them all. So this is already really good. Obviously, we have the sequencer also, but this gives us quite a bit of, you know, pattern creation here. I'm going to turn off the reverb just to hear the thing on its own. I'm also going to move the mics to the very close position. Very interesting. So apparently that's the gnarly sound. Let's compare that to the clean. Cool. And then let's do gnarly again. Interesting. Let's go back to clean. Yeah, I mean, I think they both sound great. They're just like a bit more maybe solidity. That's not a word. It's more, yeah, less sort of outwards. Tendrils, I guess. Both are very nice. I would describe both as like very positively gritty. You know, they have you know, good grit to them. So yeah, in terms of the balance here, first of all, I usually tend to use most libraries without their reverb. That's not a criticism of the reverb. I think it sounds fine, but I just have a very particular sound that I usually want to go for in terms of reverberation, how I want to do it. But you know, sounded very, very good. Sounding also very good without it, which is the most important thing for me. Liking this close position. It is indeed close, but not like it doesn't get choked. Still a very good recording with a good amount of presence and air. Sounds like, you know, we're still you know, it's an intimate, airy sound. Let's pull back all the way to the most roomy sound that we can have and listen to that. So I suppose since they're in the kind of balance section versus not in the reverb, that this is an actual sample, that they're actual samples. Sounds like a very, roomy space. Again, not bad. I'll probably, most cases, still go for a close sound and then use my own reverb. But that, I mean, by no means it doesn't sound bad. It's quite, you can hear like almost like a stony space to this. Okay, so here I'm wondering whether it means by legato because every time I press a key, it resets the cycle. So does legato mean that if I do this majingi, press play, does it carry over those cycles to the next note? Let's pull back to the close mic here. Indeed, seems like it does. That's really cool. Why they needed the DAW implementation, I really can't comment because I don't know enough about it. They actually probably do explain it in the manual. But anyway, I mean, that's not like a workflow issue because I personally prefer to perform the stuff as much as I can myself. It's a lot more fun and interesting. And obviously, when you just press playback in the DAW, you would legatoize what you already programmed in if you use a MIDI roll editor to do that. But sounding really good. Obviously, I'm not using a click here, so I might be a bit off on some of the note landings. And again, input note quantize is where this comes in. So you definitely do want to match this to your parts or even maybe your play style a bit. If you are sort of a bit sluggish on where you land, which obviously yours truly would never do, but not all people are special. Anyway, yeah, cool feature. Let's put it onto eighth. And by the way, we are in tempo 130 just to try and match this for the straight ones. By the way, let's actually push that. I'm going to go to 160 and see how it sort of quantizes there. Let's put our play on and also, I'm, by the way, trying not to play too much in major because it's not a super common thing that I would be hearing, at least on what I would listen to. Well, let's stay in chromatic still. I say that and then I just continue staying in the major. I'm trying to find like I love working in G sharp, but that's obviously not going to be the ideal range here. So okay, I want to change this string configuration here. And so I suppose this blue key here now takes sort of let's pull back. This tempo is not really working for me here. So this, I suppose, is now doing the two strings that are droning the same note, I would think. And then I've got me melody string up here, mate. So let's see how that works. So there, I definitely, some of the level balancing there, it dips a bit here in that some of those notes. Could be just a movement based thing. I'm sure they all have varying degrees of that. And also this is like a strongly subjective call as well. And it would also, you can obviously, yeah, I mean, first of all, it's subjective because I don't know what kind of a sound you want to go for and how much you want to emphasize the melody string, so-called, in relation to the drony parts. But but you can also obviously separate those and just get exactly the balance you want to go for. And also we do have this control thingamajiggy here. The only asterisk to that would be that if you think the level is fine in a certain range, but then it kind of maybe dips a bit too low down there, or in a certain place, like I found that it did, then you have to do more mixing stuff there. But root key, you can obviously change that, but let me actually play with the balance controls a bit. Yeah, I'm digging this heavy. This is good shit. The balance controls really sound really good. I don't know what it is. Sometimes the different mic positions, certainly in many orchestral libraries, they just kind of end up not being very good and natural sounding, and then you sort of realize why the developers made the balance out of the box the way it is, because it really kind of works ideally in that zone. These sound super natural. Very natural, not like supernatural. Very natural, nice, very easy to adjust it here. I dig this a lot. Let's put the input note quantize to 8th. And yeah, this, I'm really feeling this. This is really cool. I really dig this. Let's pull back the bass string again a bit. This is really good sounding shit. Because so often in these type of libraries, there's something really good. Maybe you got some good phrases or rhythmic elements, and then you kind of have to like glue things like that. But this together. But this is very, very nice. What I'm thinking, like, do we have enough movements here? Again, I love that phrase or that movement. Very nice to work with, and also very stylistically super appropriate. So I'm thinking, do we have enough of these? Let me try this poly mode. So I'm guessing that means I can play. Yeah, that actually adds a pretty nice dimension to it. I like that, having that flexibility. Let's play around. This sounds really sweet. I love that it's very gritty, and it sounds like you're in a fucking tent or campfire with a bunch of crazy berserker fuckers, and you're just like, I don't know. That's my official review statement. that is the limiter clipping, because we have a bit more level going on here. Again, I'm going to pull back the bass string even more. Very, very, very good. I really like this. This input node quantization thing is working very nicely. I find that super responsive. And sometimes if I'm doing something like faster than an eighth note, it kind of still it lands on it creates a interesting you know, a feeling of the player kind of wanting to. It sounds like they're kind of trying, but they sort of can't. But it sounds super appropriate. This is a lot of fun to play. Again, there for this movement, I feel like this volume here digs a bit too down low. It sounds good. It's not by any means like very far away from what I want to go for, but definitely loses some of the volume there compared to some of the other movements. So, but again, you can pull back the bass string. Yeah, very, very, very cool. I wonder if the movements are the same for all of these, in the straight category. That's good for sort of, you know, straight chugging, which I'm sure you'll often do. And I have a very itchy nose. I swear it's not because I've had too much cocaine. I would never do that. I like there when I'm doing faster notes in the between, you can hear that slight beep, those movements. It's still obviously following this movement pattern, but you hear subtle movements. They sound very pleasant to me. Sounds like a violin is sort of plucking there. Like it could also be the Tagelharpa, but it creates a bit of motion. It sounds very sort of 3D in back there. Yeah. This is really, really a lot of fun. Very nice to play, and it's nice when these things are nice to play because it's inspiring, and then I'll come up with more ideas and so forth. I want to try. Oh shit, were we? No, we're not in triplets. Okay, so we are in 110. Okay, so these are triplets. Well, actually, before I forget, let's go into, where the heck am I? I'm just losing my bearings all the way. Let's go to 80 BPM to 110 BPM. I actually go very slow, so let's do 80 BPM. I want to hear whether the movements are the same. Not that I necessarily would remember, but yeah, there you go. I like the poly because I don't know if that is what allows the movement in between. I mean, I could just test, but we have so many things to go through here. So again, let's go close. Let's turn off the reverb. And let's Am I forgetting anything here? Okay, this seems quite a bit louder, but it's probably because the bass string is much louder. Super cool sound. And again, we're in clean tone. Let's go for gnarly tone. I want to hear the difference there. Oh, I love those slight fluctuations in the pitch. Very nice. Yeah, these are cool because I would probably use, like, let's say I was doing a verse, like a build up. I'd use the gnarly. It would sort of be a bit more, you know, swampy. And then if I want to go like for a harder punch and go hard, and you want to put like an orchestra there and some drums, it would be fucking awesome. Then go for the excuse me, the clean tone, and you'd get like a very punchy sound. So that's again, you know, just use your ears, and don't have to use it in the way that it's telling you it is, if that makes sense. Let's try the movements here. And there, I'm just like testing the engine, pushing like these faster notes. There, it doesn't, you know, latch onto or do kind of a interpretation of my playing as well as the faster one seemed. Or I think it comes down to the movement here. Obviously, I cannot remember the movement patterns anymore. Let's go to the next one, next movement pattern. Again, here I feel like there is an emphasis on the bass strings, and sometimes I feel like I'd want the solo string, the melody aspect of it, to be a bit louder or sort of sustain itself strongly. I do like that it sometimes dips sort of below a bit more, makes it sound more realistic, because like that's how playing would be. So it's not that I don't like that quality, just a bit more level consistency. There would be to my taste. Again, we can control the string levels here, no issue. But again, if in certain keys the level balance is good and then on other ones isn't, then that's a different challenge. But again, okay, yeah, I changed into mono to see how that behavior changes, because it could change it somehow. I really love this. This is good shit. It's so much fun to play, especially if you love like this instrument and this genre and this style. This is really, really good. I want to try that with the gnarly. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Let's change the movement here. I think let's actually do that same with poly, just to see. Let me try and find that melody. Pull back the volume here because we have that polyphonic level increase. Yeah, there's, again, in the loops or the patterns, the rhythms, there are some level changes that are obviously artistic, you know, decisions and commitments. I like them. There, would I keep it a bit more not so flat, not so dynamic? Yes, I think a bit of, again, like a soothe on that would control some of the frequencies, would effectively do the same thing. Okay, again, this is a bit subjective as a call, but that's what I would do. I think the poly helps you do those faster notes in between. Technically cannot explain why, because I don't know, but I'm suspecting, because it's like obviously trying to polyphonically interpret your playing, it's putting some kind of a sample in there, you know, kind of initiating that rhythmic pattern. But if I play fast, obviously it will not allow that to continue, so it's doing these slight kind of slivers of stuff in there, but it works super nicely. And this is actually how I would be using this for faster stuff. If you want a bit of sort of what's the word that I'm looking for, decoration in between there, bit more melodic movement, that it beautifully sort of weaves in there in between. So that's cool. Let's try a different movement here. The key layout here, I would, again, that maybe there's a reason why it's set like this, but starting at here, maybe if it was just like, first of all, separated from the tone control here, and I know a lot of people will like this because they are close, and people with actual dexterity in their fingers are obviously, I don't actually mind that so much that these are close to one another. I would just love to see it at C, because it will make it clearer for me to follow. But I suspect it's actually, let me just try and think about the fingering here. No, it doesn't really. I'm thinking if there's like one, because if I would keep my whole hand here, this gets pretty itty bitty cramped. But it would be absolutely, I don't know if it's worse if it would be on C, starting C. Probably not. It's probably some kind of reasoning there, I'm sure. So, yeah, let's do that movement. Yeah, I think it's the poly that allows you to sort of try and trigger something, and it sounds appropriate to me. Yeah, this is in monophonic. Not really. Here it kind of works, but there's some slots into which it can't fit because it doesn't have time. But yeah, cool. Yeah, this is super sweet. Let's do. Okay, let's go into triplets, and this will be the faster one. This is the 110, 130. And again, I'm going to go to some of my favorite. Okay, so we got less movements here, only 3. Let's go to this configuration here. Let's change our tempo. let's do like a good mid 120. Turn off the reverb. Oh, keep the reverb on. Let's try and show the people something else than what you're interested in, Marcus. You selfish son of a... Okay, let me get my bearings here. Let's go gnarly. Very cool. Yeah, Manor Lords was released just a few days ago. Definitely some of the same vibes there. Obviously, it's not. It's more like a mid-Europe thing, but many of these instruments have very similar qualities. Yeah, I would sort of, to my mix taste, I would go less heavy on the bass string. But again, this comes down to like a lot of the time the sound for this instrument, they want it to be, very heavy on those droney strings. I would pull back a bit more. Obviously, this depends. If the part was sort of more rhythmic and less melodically relevant, then sure. But overall, to my taste, I'm finding that I want to pull that down a bit more. Let's try a different movement here. Super nice. Loving that. Next movement. Here you can hear that it's slightly pushing beyond the boundary of what the instrument actually does there. Sounds a bit strange. I want to test this 3-string approach. I like those slight trends. It puts something there in between, although it doesn't follow the pattern. It's that I think that makes a huge difference. I don't know if that's it could be a conscious decision, but it could be kind of a remnant also of how it's put together. I'm guessing it's conscious, but I'm guessing the effect of how awesome it is probably maybe specific to how I perceive it. Again, could be wrong about this, but still, I love that. Very, very nice. I'm just trying to get my bearings on why, how I would use the different string modes. Yeah, no, it's definitely a very different thing. Wait a minute, can I sort of offset? Yes, you can, and that's fucking awesome. Is it so? Okay, is that why it's what it's for? guessing, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's I love in different libraries where they use these kind of rhythmic patterns. I love just offsetting things so you get very rich, different sort of patterns going. Yeah, super, super cool. All right, let's do the triplets from to 80. Yes, bit difficult to keep my bearings here. I know it's like 4 different presets, but you know, going through the file system is not super workflow friendly. Again here, pulling back on the bass string. Again here, that's a good example of the level differences between the droney element that I'm keeping here on the C and then moving around here. Sometimes in relation to that, there's some of the movement, the melody notes do, you know, they're not at the same level. And again, that could be like 100% accurate to how it's played and sampled in real life. But again, we're talking about, you know, what composers like myself want to do with that. So, you know, if you want to, I would have to separate those in different channels, or, you know, do something else to make the levels, put them in the relationship that I want them to be. Let's do the next movement here. And again, here we are in the close position. Let's put the reverb on and let's pull this back a bit more, and let's change this into gnarly tone. Okay, that got pretty reverberant pretty fast. Cool, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, once you get the hang of it, which isn't a very steep learning curve at all, as you can hopefully see from here, super simple to figure out. Let me figure out what these bass things are about. Okay, so we got a different looking beast here as well. Change the BPM to 110. Okay, yeah. So, okay, now I understand what they've done here. That's actually really going to be useful and convenient. Gives you so much more control in the mix of this as well. Okay, yeah, so root key changed here. Makes sense. This sound is, I want to hear what this sounds like in gnarly mode, because it sounds gnarly to me already in a very good way. Again here a bit heavy on the bass string balance. Let's put back to clean. Make 8th note quantization. I really like that sound. It's simultaneously quite gritty and sort of slushy, but it has a very grindy, focused edge. So it's a pretty good pairing of things. Let's try a different movement. Let's go into mono. Actually, I want to test this in this configuration. Yeah, I think I sort of mapped this better in my head with this mode here. Let's try the next movement. Cool. Next movement. Cool. It's a very interesting sound, quite gritty, even in a very good way, sort of a bit unrecognizable. It's sort of slightly the dark cousin of the original one. Let me actually, yeah. So it is like a dedicated bass Tagelharpa. Initially, I thought they would sort of. I don't actually know what I thought, because now that I follow that line of thought, it doesn't make any sense. Very interesting inclusion. I'm actually sure that's going to be super useful in many regards, because sometimes you'd want to have like that Tagelharpa element in there, but then the normal range, the color doesn't quite fit, and you want something, you know, in the lower register. So this would pair a lot. Very nicely with sort of like hybrid elements and other orchestral thingy-majingies. Cool. I think that just about covers it. In terms of the movement sequencer, I'm not sure we're gonna get ourselves into that, because looking at this, you got two options. You have to keys to beat. Let's click to beat. Okay, so pretty clearly you can see what's happening. Okay, yeah, so to beat, it's changing this tracker, the green thing down below, to the beat, or to keys is when you actually change the key here. There are some kind of conditions here that I'm not quite grabbing. does it need to be legato too? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and then you need to presumably be in the play mode in your DAW to do the legato. I don't know. Yeah, okay, but basic concept seems simple enough. You can drag this thingy majingy here, the line up here. This is basically bars, or sorry, beats. Yep. And then you can map the movements to, map the notes or the beats or the keys to the movements you want to see. This is actually really, really smart. Actually very simple. And now that you look at it, actually great inclusion just by looking at this. Very nice, because then you can, if you know these movements really well, which I would presume you would, if you use this library for any amount of time, you start to know what they are, and then you can just map them out. If you know like a part is going to be a certain way in your track, you can just do it here in the movement sequencer. Obviously you can then just do it manually here too, which I would probably do because it just maps better in my head. But love this inclusion. It's looks super simple and convenient. Nice. So cool. Well, I think that just about wraps it up. In case you didn't, get it from my excitement, and okay, maybe you're skipping just to the end to see what I say, but fantastic. First of all, it sounds great. It sounds very realistic. I like that it sounds gritty and organic, and just the way that it, would if you were standing next to this instrument. I also like that it's done in a fashion that is reminiscent of the era. Not that I was there to witness what these sound like, but they don't sound overly modernized or processed. That's what I'm saying. Great sound, fantastically played, fantastically captured. I like the close balance. I'm a big close fan, and also still having like an ambience on that. There needs to be some kind of a presence, otherwise it doesn't sound like an instrument really at all. And there's no there needs to be a well captured ambience even for the close mics, otherwise it sounds just too choked. This sounds great, and also the room gets a bit roomy, gets quite roomy. I would probably not use a ton of that, but again, that's subjective and depends on what you want to do. Reverb sounds perfectly fine. I didn't really spend a lot of time assessing that individually, but then again, I basically always turn them off and just use the ones that I do know really well. So there you go. But if you don't have that option, they sound great. You can make great sounding stuff with it, so no issue. Bass string, the mix between the bass strings and the solo string is a bit heavy, emphasized on the bass strings. That's no issue. You can just adjust the sliders, and they work really well. It doesn't sound gimmicky or phasey, or it doesn't ruin the sound. It genuinely feels like a balance control, which is fantastic. In terms of the solo string melody fluctuations, I would hope for a bit more consistency in the level. On one hand, it sounds authentic because there's fluctuation there. And again, you wouldn't have all of these at the exact same level, nor would I wish for that. I would simply hope that they just were sort of more maybe consistent in level. But it's not like by any means like an error at a level where I'm like, this is not usable by any means. It sounds fantastic. But if, the perfectionist me is digging into this, then that's what I would do. And if I was putting this in a track, I would probably do an individual track for the solo string movement, so I could, in the mix, just nudge the notes up or down where I'd want them to be. So there's that. Movements sound fantastic. They sound authentic and, true to the general style of the Nordic folk. And so that's good. There are at most 5 of them per patch. I don't know what to call these, set. Would I wish for more? Yes. the greedy me wants more options. You could obviously get lost in there, but I don't know. I feel like there could be more. Not that I felt like I was creatively limited in sense, but it's just like curiosity, diversity. Let's put it this way: I could easily see that this could have more, and I'd be perfectly fine and happy with that. So, you know, maybe that's me just being greedy. Yeah, here I feel like more would be better. Tone control, really digging that. I think it's generally like pretty gritty and gnarly sounding overall, which again is a huge compliment. It's not by any means like, you know, broken or really like gnarly sounding. It's fantastically played and captured, but it's just it has that appropriate grit that makes the instrument sound real and authentic. I feel like the tone control is more like clean is more sort of precisely hitting, and sort of more punchy, and gnarly is a bit more loose. I put it that way. And there's definitely more sort of tendrils and stuff there. So yeah. Personally, I would probably use the 2+1 string configuration and probably poly, but the mono also, it just, you have to test based on the thing that you're using. I didn't find there to be kind of any definitive things I can say about that, but yeah. And movement sequencer, great addition, just another way of working with this. And yeah, and lastly, like, this is so much fun to play. At first I was a bit sort of skeptical about I love the approach from a technical perspective, but then I thought, is this going to be one of those where it almost gets a bit too technical, and then you have to adjust things in the MIDI roll to trigger things at the right time? But none of that is the case here. This is super easy to play, super responsive to play, and it's super fun. And like, that pairs really well with the sound of it. It's just a ton of fun, sounds great, and I can, give this nothing but praise, outside of those points that I addressed. But fantastic job. And yeah, I think we'll end there. If you have this, let me know what you think, if you have this at your studio or at home. And also let me know what you think of this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.